Are you tired of sitting on the sidelines watching opportunities pass you by? You know you have what it takes, but something's missing. It could be doubt, confidence, or fear that you're not representing your best self. Whatever it is, it stops now. It's time to align your passion with your purpose and seize the opportunities that await you. I want to see you get back in the game. So join me and my expert guests as we talk all things image, branding, and a bit of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you amplify your presence and define your impact for greater success, sit with us as we talk about it.
Welcome back to the Image Connection Show, where we go beneath the surface of image, branding, and presence to help you live and lead with impact. I'm your host, Jenny Dewberry, certified international image, personal brand coach, and consultant. I'm so glad to have you here with me today. The Image Connection Show is a conversation-driven show that explores how inner alignment impacts our outer image, our presence, our visibility, and our personal brand. Everything we do, from how we speak to how we present ourselves, is influenced by what's happening internally. And when those internal blocks go unchecked, they quietly shape our confidence, our leadership presence, and even the opportunities that we allow ourselves to step into. And so this show exists to help you connect that so that you're not just seen, but you are fully understood. And today I have with me Julie Murrell. Julie is an image consultant as well. She is a stylist, and the name of her business is The Science of Image. She is here to talk to us and help us connect how style influences our leadership, the choices that we make, and also the opportunities, again, that we are offered. She is joining us from Bangkok, Thailand. And so I want to ask you to help me welcome Julie to the show. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, Jenny. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you are here, and I want to thank you again for getting up so early to be here with us today. It is early, right? We're on like totally different time zones, so
yes, it's 6 a.m. now.
6 a.m. So thank you. You look like it's 6 in the afternoon, in the evening. You look wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So, Julie, you've been a stylist or an image consultant for 10 years, and you were trained in Singapore. You're a native of Canadian and now residing in Thailand. Can you talk a little bit about your journey into the image consulting and styling industry?
Yeah, well, I think like many people who are in this line of work, it started long before this actually was a career. So for me, it's something that I used as long as I could dress myself. I've always loved clothes. But for me, it really, I think I always intuitively was connected to the way that clothing made me feel. And I knew that when I liked what I was wearing, I felt better. And I always sought that feeling. And it was always a tool that I would turn to as I was growing up, you know, in my teens, trying to figure out who I was. I used clothes to experiment and find what felt authentic to me. And then as I, got older and started working, it was also a tool that I unintentionally used to position myself for opportunities to grow professionally. So I had bosses tell me that I was the obvious choice for a promotion because I already looked like I had authority. And so it's always been a tool I've used, but professionally, my background actually is in psychology. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and I pursued that because I was really interested in self-esteem and confidence aspect of image and what made somebody feel confident or not, as well as just ideas around self-image and identity and perception, as well as behavior, which is based in psychology as well. So that was my background. But when I was in university, I was doing some career coaching and discovered image consulting that combines psychology with style. And that was like a light bulb moment that I was like, wow, this is my calling. This is like the perfect combination of what I love and what I'm interested in and how I can bring value. So that was kind of my entry point. And then I got some life experience, traveled, worked abroad, and then I completed my diploma in Singapore and started this journey of building my practice.
Isn't it funny though how, you know, life experiences and when we're going through, for instance, schooling and the things that we go through, they connect and they tie to what we're really meant to do. Because when you were in school going for psychology, you probably wasn't thinking about being an image consultant, but they are so closely connected because of the mindset that one has to have, and the self-image parts of it that we work with our clients on. It positioned you perfectly for what you do today, perfectly. And so,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You talked about when we spoke before, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's so connected. Dancing and styling. You say that they are true forms of expression. You know, your dancing is a form of expression that only you can express. You know, you dance in a way that no one else can. And then a person dresses in their own way. It could be the same outfit, it could be the same dance, but we're expressing ourselves and it looks different on each of us, whether that's dancing or not. But what made you kind of connect dancing with style? Because I wouldn't have come up with that, but they are very similar.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess just to clarify, I do Latin dancing as a hobby for anyone listening without context. So I started my dance journey back in 2018. It was something I was always interested in doing, but never really got to pick it up as a hobby earlier. And honestly, I didn't make that connection for the longest time. It really was just a hobby that I was drawn to. I loved the music. I loved that when you see a Latin dancer, there's so much joy, and like the energy that they radiate was just so like magnetizing to me. And it really wasn't until I think I would say maybe last year that I realized I've kind of been on a journey around like my own relationship with style and what it means to me and what I think it really brings to anybody. And I realized that for me, and I think the clients I work with, it is learning about how to express yourself. And dance, like style, is a form of self-expression through movement.
Absolutely.
And I guess I just made that connection. I guess in a way I've been finding a common thread through my life, and maybe the underlying essence of what I believe my purpose to be. And when I look at the patterns of the things that excite me and that I really feel are meaningful, it's all tied to self-expression through different forms, whether that's I also like to paint and dance for sure. Style is definitely about that, as well as verbal communication. That's another way that I work with clients is helping them elevate their verbal communication. So it's really just a theme through my life, and I started putting those pieces together over the last few years. And last year, I guess I made that connection too.
Yeah. And as I said, it makes perfect sense. No one would really think about that, but that's your psychology mind there that brought that to you. It's definitely aligned. And I'm so glad that you spoke about how you help your clients and with communicating, because when people think about stylists or they think about image consultants, they think about clothing. They don't think about the deeper parts of work that we do with our clients. And for you, well, we specialize in helping women, but you help women who are stepping into higher levels of visibility, whether they're speakers, consultants, and leaders. You help them to align their style with who they are on the inside. Now, we as women, we evolve, but our wardrobe sometimes still reflects an earlier version of ourselves. So how do you help your women, the women that you work with, how do you help them build a wardrobe? And we're just going to talk about style for a minute that reflects who they are today and where they can be comfortable with this woman that they are evolving into. How do you approach that? Because we know sometimes there's resistance in that.
Yes, indeed. So I would say, I mean, my mind goes a couple of places. So for one, when I am approaching this with a client, we work from the inside out. So we don't start with the wardrobe. We start with who they are on the inside and what their values are now. Right. And what their preferences are now. And a very big piece of this, I'm realizing, is lifestyle, which is something that changes a lot as you evolve in your career. Maybe you change jobs. You might go from being in an internal role to client facing, which is going to change how you need to show up and present. And you can see this in life transitions as well, where, you know, a lot of my clients are new moms and they have to be more comfortable and have more practical and functional clothing. So lifestyle is a very big piece of it. So we start by taking inventory of all of that so that we have kind of a North Star and talking about like how they can use clothes to express the current version of who they are. Sure. Another, I mentioned values. That's a really big one. And I'll give an example. So for myself, I would say, I don't know, me 10 years ago was still very growth oriented. I really value self-expression and freedom, creativity. But I thought that I aligned more with the corporate world. And so I was dressing accordingly. I was wearing more suits and tailored clothes, etc. And over the years, I started connecting more with my spirituality and nature. And with that, I have begun to value more of the kind of the larger scope of the fashion industry and sustainability in particular. So for me, a big value that has come into play that wasn't before is sustainability and nature and kind of connection to the larger community or the world community, if you will. So now when I am working with my own wardrobe as I'm updating it, I prioritize sustainable brands and or purchasing pieces that are secondhand rather than especially buying fast fashion. And so that's an example of a value that has changed for me and how I've changed that in my own wardrobe. And I see that manifest in my client style as well, where they may have been in a corporate position and now they're mostly working from home, working for themselves, and they value more comfort and they want to be more easygoing or laid back in their image. And so we'll look at how we need to shift their wardrobe accordingly. So I would say, yeah, we start from the inside out. We look at how somebody has evolved in these key pieces of their life, key areas of their life, and then we make adjustments to their wardrobe accordingly. And that said, I will also say I prioritize working with someone's existing wardrobe because data research actually shows most of us only wear 20% of our wardrobe on a regular basis anyway. And there's, you know, usually 80% of our wardrobe we're not using. And so I try to look at what isn't being used and what could be used to serve that current updated version of you,
Right.
to maximize what you have.
Yeah. And we, a second eye going into someone's wardrobe and an expert eye going into someone's wardrobe can create so many different looks that the individual that is not an expertise in creating those styles and the things that we do, they go into their closet and it's as if they've gone to a store and shop, because we're reshopping for them, helping them save money. I mean, it really kind of debunks the misconception that when you hire a stylist or an image consultant, that you are automatically going to the store spending loads of money. Where if you're working with someone that has that sustainability approach to styling, that's the last thing that we want to do, is have you to go to the store and make all these repeat purchases. We're going to use what you have, right? Use what you have. If necessary, when you shop, we're going to make sure that you're shopping for those investment pieces, or those pieces that you can use over time and maybe add a trend or two to it. That's your approach as well, I'm sure.
Yes, I would say a big part of it is teaching. So part of it is undoing the mindset of consumption, because in our consumer society, we are conditioned to think about the next thing, the next purchase, what should be added to my wardrobe, instead of looking at what you have and how you can breathe new life into it. And so a big part of it is changing the mindset. And in order to do that, it's thinking about shopping more strategically. And so I teach clients to think about, like, where are there gaps in your wardrobe that there's a look that you could create because you have almost every piece, you're just missing one thing.
Right.
And if you added that one thing, it would exponentially increase your other outfit options, because it would give you 10 other things to wear. So it's wardrobe gaps. I also get my clients to think about what pieces need to be replaced, because things get worn out for sure. And what could be upgraded. So if you have, maybe you have a pair of dark wash jeans, for example, but maybe there's like 15% elastane in them, and so you have to wash them after everywhere because they get stretched out. So instead, get them to invest in a pair of denim that is going to just fit better for longer, not need to be washed as much. So that's my approach to shopping.
It's sustainability and keeping the garment, and then keeping their shape. All of that matters when you're talking about, especially when you're buying more natural fibers or fabrics. They tend to last longer than, especially if you're not taking your clothes to the dry cleaners. I found that when you're buying those less expensive pieces, as soon as you put them in the dryer, you're killing them. So investment shopping or washer, yes, very, very important to do that. And then investing in dry cleaning and tailoring is very important. But I want to talk about, again, I mentioned how women evolve, and then they don't show up as the person that they have evolved into, because for some reason, no one has told them that. I always say, as your position change, so much your image. You have to change how you present yourself in different rooms and different environments. What would you say to a woman that's hesitant about that doesn't really embrace that theory? Because I've heard it a lot, and I think I'm fine. I don't have to change. It hasn't stopped me from getting here. But imagine how much further a person can go if how they're presenting themselves is truly aligned with the position that they are in or where they want to go.
Yeah. So first thing I would ask is, like, what is it that you want to convey about yourself in this position? And what is important for you to convey about yourself in this position? Because as we know, image communicates messages, and 90% of the information we take is visual. So whether you like it or not, people are going to be perceiving you, and you, if you choose to, well, you do have control over that. It's whether you want to use that intentionally and strategically or not. My question to them would be like, what is it that you want to convey, and is your current image actually conveying that? So that gets the wheels turning. And then I think another big part of it is how you feel, because when there is a disconnect between who you are on the inside and what you've accomplished as a person and what is translating visually, there is misalignment. And if you are sensitive to alignment, you're going to feel it. It's not going to feel, something's going to feel off.
Yeah.
And usually when I'm working with women, that's the language they use. They'll feel like, they'll say, I don't feel like I look like myself, or I feel like there's a disconnect between who I am and how I see myself. So usually they know by the time they're looking to work with someone like me, and I'm not really having to convince them that it matters. Whereas if I am speaking to someone that isn't quite, like, hasn't come to that conclusion on their own, then it's usually that question of planting a seed and like, is this working for you?
Yeah, and it's so much, I won't say easier, but it's a much more fulfilling process when a person does already know that something is off. They may not be able to name it. They might not know exactly what it is, but they do know and feel that there needs to be some enhancements or some refinement somewhere. And so, like you said, when they come to us, they're ready, versus us trying to convince them this is what you need. And if that's not something that they believe in, our work becomes just a bit harder, a bit more difficult to get them.
Indeed.
Yes, it does. They do come around, but it's a little bit more work. So yeah, but
sorry to interrupt. I just want to add that a way that this disconnection can also manifest that I've seen is overwhelm or stress when you're getting dressed. Because you no longer feel like you have things that are going to make you feel comfortable in like putting yourself in front of a group of people in this role. So I think that's a signal that is quite common when there is starting to be a disconnect or a misalignment, and time for an update, a readjustment.
Yes, I'm glad. I like that update, readjustment, because it is. And many times I do know that women, or people in general, but I work with women, you work with women, they feel like they are positioned for these new promotions. I mean, they have all the hard skills that they need. They have the education, the training, the skills, but they often wonder, well, why aren't I getting this position? And this might sound a little harsh. It has nothing to do, it may have nothing to do with your skills and your expertise. A lot of times it truly is our presence and how we are presenting ourselves, and that credibility through visual trust. Do the people that you're wanting to give you these opportunities, do they trust that you can handle it and represent them, if it's an individual client or the organization, in a way that's aligned with what they're trying to put out into the world? And so confidence and style, I think they go hand in hand. Kind of touched on that a bit not long ago. When we look good, we truly do feel good, even if it's just on the inside. We always have to work on that internal image, that self-image, so it can be a lasting, confident version of ourselves. But when we talk about style as a leadership tool, you mentioned that we're always being read, and people are always looking, and they're trying to find cues. Is she trustworthy? We hear that a lot, but it's true. Can I trust her? Is she capable of doing the work that I need her to do? And all of that comes through, I think, the first impression, right? And the first impression is really how they see us and what we're, what we have on, I think, because it's only a few seconds. So I think the eye first goes to what we're wearing, and then it reads the rest next. So how can we use style as a leadership tool? That's the big question.
That's a really good question. I feel like there's so many layers to this.
There is.
So there's a book I read. It's called How Women Rise by Marshall Goldsmith and Sally Helgeson, I believe, are the authors. And they talk about women's leadership and things that basically prevent women from being able to rise.
Yeah.
And one of the things they say is, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something like leadership, your leadership presence comes down to your ability to be fully present.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, from conversations with women, if you are self-conscious about what you're wearing, and you are in a room where you are wondering what people are thinking, how people are perceiving you, if what you're wearing is appropriate, if you look like the leader that you are, and if people are taking you seriously, that prevents you from being able to be fully present.
Right.
When you are subconsciously or consciously distracted and worried about something like your clothes, it's not gonna, it's gonna hold you back. So to me, aligning your external image with who you are on the inside, how you see yourself, your values, your skills, and your role, your lifestyle, it removes that doubt. And you're no longer thinking about what other people are thinking, because you're intentional and you're aligned, and you are instead of being externally oriented, you're now internally oriented. And this is when you really stand in this energy of presence and you radiate who you are, because you're not trying to shape shift or worry about how people are seeing you. So I would argue that is the number one thing, because I
agree.
Inside our job. And then beyond that, I do think, as a leader, you are in a position to walk the talk and to lead by example and to exemplify the behavior and the presence that you would want your team to emulate.
Sure.
And when you take that time to align external image with your internal image, you become aspirational. You become someone that other people look to and are inspired by. And yeah, it just speaks volumes without you having to say anything.
You should. That's right. It's presence. It's presence, and that's a feeling. That's an experience, rather than, like you said, what we're wearing. However, the impact of what we're wearing sets the tone for the rest. If our clothes are well fitting, right? If our colors are complementary to us. And I keep talking about this because people really do dismiss the power of our clothes and the communication that comes through that. Because you can be in a leadership role. You can be the person that, when people are thinking about, well, who can do this job, they may think about you. But if you're not positioned externally to carry out the job, then they may overlook you and go to someone else that has the whole package. So leadership present, I think, is about the whole package, and it's about experience. It's about appearances too. We cannot dismiss that and the importance of it. And I think we talked a bit about mindset blocks. So when your clients come to you, hopefully most of them are ready, but a lot are not. How do you help them with their mindset blocks and being able to get them to embrace this new way of doing things and expressing themselves? Do you get a lot of resistance in that?
Well, there's certainly a lot of conditioning and ideas about what certain clothes means.
Yeah.
For example, I had one client that it sounded like her mom had a lot of opinions about people who wore certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is quoting here. It's like, it's kind of funny, a little, I don't know, a little out there, but the line was that red shoes are for hookers and children.
Yeah.
And
I knew you were
so
going
she would touch red shoes.
there.
And like, that's just one example of other stories she had about clothes.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of cases, clients had these conversations and they've never had these stories or associations challenged.
Yeah.
And they've also never been pushed outside their comfort zone. And so they've just always kind of lived within those limitations and stayed with what's safe.
Yeah.
And so part of it is just having the conversation and challenging that story and getting them to maybe find other references where whatever that belief is that they have is not the case. Like,
Right.
for example, seeing an example of a strong, female CEO wearing red shoes and realizing like, oh, actually, that's not true. I can wear them.
Yeah, not true. That's confidence. That's empowerment. You feel empowered when you do that. Yeah.
Yes. So I think finding examples to prove those stories wrong, having those conversations to surface these stories and disprove them. Another part of it is reframing the way a client might think about style. So I had another conversation with this woman. She was actually an artist, and she really resisted the idea of having to dress a certain way. And yeah, she I think it sounded like she had a disconnect with her appearance. She was very connected to her art, her work, but she was like, no, I'm not going to put effort. I'm not going to put attention. I resist it. I don't want to play that game of how I should look. And in our conversation, I pointed out to her how like she's artistic. She loves self-expression through art. So I asked her like, have you ever thought about clothes as a form of self-expression and art? And she was like, I've never thought about it that way. And then after our conversation, I think a couple weeks later, she wrote back to me and was like, I just want you to know, after our conversation, I got a haircut and I started dressing up every day. Because, so sometimes it's reframing beliefs as well. And sometimes it's really just pushing somebody, like I said, out of their comfort zone because they've never ventured into a space of seeing themselves as someone that wears anything other than black all the time or whatever color it might be. Yeah.
I had a client like that, and I put her at the time, a few years ago, I put her subtle, a leopard belt. You know, she liked leopard, but she was afraid to wear it. So I'm thinking, well, we can't put you in a whole leopard suit. So let's just do this. Wear a leopard belt and when, the leopard shoe. And then she thought, well, actually she liked prints, not leopard. I told her about the leopard. And so she said, well, she called me. She said, I put this on and I went out and oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the compliments that I got. And I just felt like a new woman, but it was just those small tweaks, the little things, the little details is where the magic happens, really. You don't have to revamp all things about your style. Now, sometimes, depending, but again, your client going to get her haircut, that just gave her that instant boost of confidence. And then it made her realize the impact of how she looked before. And then this new way of doing things, she probably start receiving so many other connections, probably opportunities. More people maybe even bought her art because they could see that she was paying attention to details. So when we pay attention to details, it says a lot about us, but it also says a lot about our business and how we handle business as well. And, you know, our leadership roles.
Yeah, I agree. I think all of those little signs signal something.
Mm-hmm.
And even I also like to talk about taking the time to think about how you present yourself and to feel good about it as a sign of self-respect and how you treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you do that, it's something people perceive, probably subconsciously, but you're teaching people how to see you and how to treat you based on how you treat yourself and how you, what time and attention you invest in yourself. So I think it goes even deeper to things like self-respect and
it does.
Yeah.
Self-respect. So, like you said, it teaches people rather how to treat you. It also helps others know, you know, they may pat you on the back, you know, they may come to you and say, oh, well, you know, you're always so well polished. Like your manager had said to you, you look like you're already in a position of authority. You have what it takes. So why not put you on this path? Whereas someone else, I knew I had a client that came to me. He was a entry-level engineer, but he sat at the computers with all the other engineers, and he came and he says, well, you know, I'm tired of sitting at the computer. I want to get out and start doing projects and such. And I told him, I said, well, you can't always wait to be tapped on the shoulder. You have to insert yourself, be assertive, you know, in what you want to do. But you can start by changing how you're showing up into this office. Just because you see others that might show up in t-shirts and jeans, take it up a notch, put a polo shirt on, a button-up polo. You know, you still want to be relaxed and you still want to dress for the environment, but set yourself apart a bit. So he started dressing a little differently. And we worked through that. And then he finally got up the confidence to go and ask his superior how he was doing. And she appreciated that. And within 2 weeks, he was out doing a project, you know, but it just goes back to how we present ourselves and our confidence level and, you know, how that increases when we feel like we're worthy. And then when we look the part, people respect us a little bit more and the opportunities are there for us. And then the transformation in that, it's unmatched. So I know you've talked about some areas. Well, before we get into that, actually, I want to take a quick break and then we'll come back and we will share some of your links with the audience so they can know how to get in touch with you. So we will be right back.
You're not just building a career, you're building a reputation and that of your business. At People Power Consultancy, we coach ambitious professionals to refine their image and shape a personal brand that opens doors. Because the way you show up is your message. If you're tired of blending in, second-guessing your presence, or feeling unseen, this is your moment to stand out with purpose and polish. Visit peoplepowerconsultancy.com to start your transformation. Your next level has a look. Let's define it.
We are back with Julie Murrell. Julie is a image consultant and stylist of 10 years. She works with women in leadership. And correct me if I'm wrong, you work with women in leadership to help them amplify their visibility when they're on stage, help them to enhance their stage presence, I assume, and then consultants. So she is here to help us, to discuss with me image, style, and how it impacts our leadership and how to use style as a tool and a confidence booster, so to speak. So I wanted to let the audience know, Julie, your business, The Science of Image, how they would be able to contact you if they wanted to find out more about you. Julie she's global. She works globally, but she lives in Bangkok, Thailand. So you can reach her through her links here, thescienceofimage.com. On LinkedIn, she is Julie Murrell. And then her website is themindfuldresser.substack.com.
Yeah, put them in the chat here.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have it here up in the ticker too. www.styling-services.scienceofimage.com.
Yes, so that's my services page. And if you are interested in following my content, learning more about my work, I have a Substack publication called The Mindful Dresser, which is where I publish articles about different ideas around style and going really in depth into different perspectives and my philosophy around style. So the Mindful Dresser Substack publication. You can also access my services page through there, and LinkedIn is another place that you can find me online. And my LinkedIn profile is under my name, Julie Murrell.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, there's a QR code here. Also, if anyone viewers would like to scan the QR code, that is there for you as well. And so, Julie, we'll get back into the conversation. You're helping women with visibility and helping them to connect the relationship between style and how they carry themselves. I'm coming to you. I need your help. I am a consultant, as I am, and I need your help with visibility. I know my area of expertise. I know my work. I can talk to anyone about what I do, but those doors are not always open for me, and I don't know why. What would you say to a client that comes to you with that issue when you're looking at that person and you kind of know what it is firsthand right up?
Well, my first question would be, how do you feel? Do you feel it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're coming to me, that question or that the answer is probably that there's some kind of disconnect, or they don't feel quite confident or comfortable in how they're showing up. Probably that they don't feel like themselves in their clothes, or that it's not really conveying who they actually are. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we start there with how you feel, right, and then exploring the idea of like, why is there disconnect? Where is this coming from? Have you recently changed your role, or have you grown as a person? How have you grown as a person? Mm-hmm. What part of you has evolved that is no longer being communicated through this old way that you're presenting yourself? I would also say, like, if you are looking for visibility and you feel like you're not visible, I would explore ideas around, like, how do you think somebody who is visible would show up? Like, what is your interpretation of visibility and what that would look like? And where is the gap between that and how you're seeing yourself? There's probably like a psychology, self-image component where they themselves as the person that is visible.
Yeah, yet. I agree. It definitely, if you're feeling like you need to, like you're shrinking, or like you said, you want to be visible, what does visibility mean to you? And what is it within you that's keeping you from being visible, whatever that looks like for the individual? And it does start on the inside. As you said, and I always say, image is inside out. It's not outside in. We have to work on the inner parts of ourselves, right? So that we can feel comfortable when we do present ourselves in these different spaces and environments, and even online. And so, you know, as women, most of us, we do already know our strengths and we know our skills, but again, we're not aligned. Our inside and how we present ourselves on the outside is not aligned. We've talked about how you do that, but where would they begin? The first step to beginning to evolve or beginning to embrace this new person, would you say a person needs to sit with themselves in order to figure out who they are first, even though we're
Yes.
styled? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to take inventory of
Mhm.
where you're at now.
Yeah.
Because without that as a starting point, it's impossible to
Mhm.
create a
Right.
style and an image around that.
Yeah.
So, and thinking about things like, so in my training, we
Mhm.
were taught that image really is based around your your vision, values, skills, talents, goals.
Mhm.
And I've kind of expanded on that from my own experience too, that it's also based on your preferences, what
Mhm.
feels good to you, and what you are naturally drawn to, as well as your lifestyle. And so I always start here with clients. And then we also look at like, what do you value in clothes? What's important to you?
Mhm.
Is it important to you to feel feminine in your clothes? Is it important to you to feel creative and unique, like an
Mhm.
individual? Or is comfort the top priority?
Yeah.
Or is it that you want to have timeless pieces? So we look at the values as well when it comes to clothing. And that helps to give you a direction for your style as well, and a direction for how you're going to actually use your clothes and piece them together, since we are working with your existing wardrobe.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so big inventory there.
It is. It is. Again, knowing yourself, knowing where you want to go, and then what you're speaking of sounds to me like this, the style personality, the different style
Yeah.
personalities. You have to know what that is again before we can style before we can style the person, because you can't put a classic in a dramatic, and they may look good, but if they don't feel good in it, it's not going to work, right? So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. This has been good. Again, we're talking about style, the gap between your style and showing up as your authentic self and aligning those two. I've had a good conversation here with Julie. Again, she is the founder of Science of Image, and she is a global image consultant and stylist. And so I thank you for spending your time here with me today, Julie. For a woman that's listening, and she is, again, she's ready to show up. We know that it starts with awareness and how, that the thoughts that you have about yourself and knowing who you are before anyone can really style you with integrity. I think that we're not just pulling things off of the rack. We're really getting to know the person and know what their goals are, their values are, and working them into this new way, and this evolved woman. Um, and so you talked about how you do that for your clients. And so I think the way you approach your work is very important. The sustainability approach that you use, not just in using the clothes in the closet, but I think that, fabrics, I've had clients that will only wear natural made fibers. When I tell you that it's a chore sometimes to find um, a lot of clothes that are made with natural fibers, but some clients that's just what they want. Have you experienced anything like that? Because I wonder how many people are really dead, set on buying nothing other than natural black fibers. And has that been difficult for you? And I have access to many stores, but you just
Mhm.
don't find that a lot in my experience.
I would say no. That hasn't been something, because usually I'm working with women who haven't really thought that much about style. And that's why they need help. It's
Yeah.
because they've always been focused on usually their career,
Mm-hmm.
and before that, their academics and skills.
Just busy.
And so like, yes, they usually don't even pay attention to the fabric composition of the clothing that they buy, and often don't really know the implications of different fabrics or even how to wash them correctly.
Right. Yeah.
So I actually do a lot of education around that, and helping them, first of all, understand what fabrics are going to just drape better on their body when we talk about dressing for your body type.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, helping them understand what fabrics are going to better serve their lifestyle based on the climate that they live in. And then another layer is the sustainability part, and teaching them about like how, different raw materials are extracted in more or less sustainable ways, and different brands that they can buy from, if they are prepared to invest in more sustainable materials. So, I would say it's been the opposite for me, that I'm usually working on like zero knowledge or awareness around fabric, and helping them understand what to choose, why, what to look for. And
that was my only one, and it was a challenge, but we made it happen. So again, talking with Julie, and we're talking about style, but we're talking about so much more than just styling a person. We're talking about the process of getting to know you, the client, before we begin the process of working with you to help you to evolve into the woman that you are either becoming, or the woman that you see yourself as. And it involves more than just going to a store or online and shopping. She's talking about how your lifestyle, your goals, and how dressing, communication, which is a part of dressing, because when you're styling yourself and you're entering into different environments and different roles, you are communicating with your clothes and with your color. So she's talking about the deeper parts of styling as well. So I appreciate you giving this information to the listeners and reminding them, or even making them aware that clothes are so much more than just something that we put on. There needs to be intentionality behind it. They are tools to help us succeed, not just in business, but in our personal lives as well. They cross those boundaries daily. They're very interconnected. And so how we show up is impactful. It opens doors of opportunities for us, or it quietly closes those doors as well. And if you could leave the audience with something, Julie, what would that be?
I would say to give yourself permission to feel good about how you look, and to be intentional about what you are conveying through your appearance, because image does communicate messages, and you do have control over it. So choose something that is aligned and that makes you feel good, and the power that comes from that is really magnetic.
It is. It truly is. And then again, it's positioning. It's positioning, whether we're talking to the everyday woman, or if we're talking to a woman that works in the C-suite. How we dress positions us for opportunities. So thanks for leaving us with that final word. Again, it's been a joy having you here. And I thank you for waking up so early again with us. And again, Julie, her links are scienceofimage.com. She is the mind
styling. Yeah. Styling-services at scienceofimage.com.
Styling.services at scienceofimage.com. And we have it up here. I'll just let you read it. If you're on audio, then again, they are stylingservices.scienceofimage.com. That's her service page. You can find her on LinkedIn under Julie Murrell. And then you can also, her website is, I just mentioned it, scienceofimage.com. The Mindful Dresser on Substack. You can find her under the mindfuldresser.substack.com. And again, on LinkedIn, it's Julie Murrell. Again, thank you for having us here. And sorry about the glitches in your names, but the people will be able to find you. We'll put these links up, and there'll be other places where they can find you as well. So again, thank you for being here. For the listeners and the viewers, we thank you for spending time with us today, and we hope that you will join us next week at 7 p.m. Until next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Image Connection Show. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again. And don't keep it to yourself. Invite a friend to tune in too. If you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to enhance your image, brand, and help you along your entrepreneur journey, this is where you want to be. I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, keep showing up with purpose, presence, and power.